us Ms. Sibongile Cele. She is the Operations Director of AWIA, African Women in Agriculture. She holds a qualification as Commercial and Financial Accountant and a permaculturist, fish breeder, hydroponics and aquaponics farmer. In 2013, she ventured into her own group of companies with diverse business activities in agribusiness, mining, petroleum, banking and insurance brokerage, construction and building supply, and brick manufacturing. She is a founder member of the African Women Agriculture, where they DOM an agripreneurs incubator, where she is an incubator manager, and they train young women on organic and hydroponics and business skills to start their own agricultural business and also to do community food gardens projects in schools. She is also a rooftop hydroponics farmer and has established a seed bank with a focus on heritage seeds, and she is currently working on a drive where the plan is to have communities planting 1 tree per household. Her profession highlights on the SDGs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let me invite Ms. Sibongile for her session. Over to you, ma'am.
Hi, greetings to everyone all the way from Johannesburg in South Africa. It's just a great honor to be part of this great summit where we're looking at global issues regarding our sustainable development as nations. And I'm really excited, Akpana, to be part of this summit. This is a project that we're currently doing with African women in agriculture called AWIA. We're doing a Famine Box. So the Famine Box, you get your seeds that come from our seed bank, Mcebo seed bank, and then we give you eggs where you can use the eggs, and then after using the eggs, you keep the shells to plant your seeds to start a home garden. It comes with your spray and your potting soil. So we're encouraging people to start their home gardens, eat from their gardens. And you can get hold of us on the AWIA website. It's called awia.africa. So the Mcebo Seed Bank, it's where we're doing seed saving. As a seed guardian, I'm saving seeds, where we're encouraging farmers to plant rainbow maize and keep seeds and start seed banks in their homes as farmers. So this is from my seed bank, and it's called Mcebo Seed Bank. So when you get the seeds, you plant, you keep and save for the next season where we'll be planting. So what I would like to share is in connection with innovative farming, because what we have been looking at as women in agriculture, we formed an NPO, non-profit organization, called African Women in Agriculture, where we are recruiting young women to come in and be trained to actually go into agriculture, because most of our young women, they don't think agriculture is actually meant for women. And we are saying, let's groom agripreneurs that will come and do farming and deal with issues that we're facing currently as a nation, where there's actually a challenge with food shortage. And if you remember, we just had a serious riot happening in South Africa. And there's a challenge that we might face a food shortage. So we are saying we're encouraging them to grow food. So we're teaching them on organic farming, hydroponics farming, and we also teach them on entrepreneurial skills. So as an incubator manager and a farmer myself, it's actually very fulfilling to be dealing with young women, where we're teaching them also to go back to their communities and start food gardens. So in their training, they will have their own business, which they start, and also have their community projects where they go back to communities to actually take the skill that they've learned from African women in agriculture. Our incubator name is called Lwazi Agripreneurs Incubator, where Lwazi in Zulu means knowledge. So we're giving them knowledge to go and actually now do it in their own communities and dealing with issues with poverty, because most of them, they are from the surrounding area where we have identified a serious shortage of food, especially with the COVID-19 situation where there's been a shortage of food parcels as well. So we are saying, instead of food parcels, let's encourage communities to have food gardens. So the drive, we've started a drive called Famine Box. It's a box that we put in seeds, and we get corporate to sponsor the boxes, and then we donate to communities, where we've put in seeds that come from our seed bank, which is indigenous seeds, because we're also encouraging them to say, let us not limit the nutritional value of food. Can they also eat our indigenous plants that we have? We have amaranth. Amaranth we grew up with as we grew up in KZN in my in-laws' house. So it's something that we know it's very nutritious. So we're encouraging them to go back and plant that. And it grows all year round, and there's no limit to it. And in some of the packages, we also give them herbs so that they don't have to worry about spices. They can use herbs to actually put culinary value to their food. So this has been a drive that really excites me, that we're actually managing to even take our indigenous knowledge and share it with our local communities, and also deal with the fact that if it's food that you want, start in your own bed garden and in small spaces, because we look at bottles that they have that they use. We say, recycle your bottles and plant inside those bottles where you don't have space. So then we don't have a situation where people have an excuse to say, I don't have space, I don't have land. We say, use what you have in your household. And during the lockdown, we're also encouraging them that spend time in the garden just to relieve stress as well, because we find that most people being locked up, they end up having serious anxiety challenges. So we're saying, go back and do your garden and be there and fall in love with your plants because they are alive. So that has been the drive that has really excited us, and to say, let's deal with the serious challenge of hunger using innovative ways of doing it, recycling back what we have in our households. There was one clip that I did for them to say, if you open your fridge and you haven't used all your tomatoes, the ones that you feel they're too soft, go and plant them. And then you also, when you harvest, keep some of the seeds for the next season, so that you don't have an excuse to say, I don't have food. You always preserve and save and recycle what you have in your household. So this has been a wonderful drive, and I'm actually encouraging people to say, let us go back to basics, eat from our indigenous food as well, and actually encourage people to say, we need to go back to growing our own food. Because I know with the shortage of food, if the price of food goes up currently, where we are facing high prices, especially for tomato in Johannesburg, we say, go and plant your own tomatoes, and you always have your tomato gravy to have as a meal at home. So it's basic things that we've grown up traditionally. I mean, I was raised by my grandmother. Even with our medicinal plants, we're going back and saying, go and plant. There's a medicinal plant that they were using for coughs in the olden days, and we are using that for COVID treatment. So we are saying each household should go back and have that tree. In Zulu, they call it umhlonyana, but it's Antamisia afra and woodworm in English. So you can imagine that we managed during the lockdown level 5 in South Africa to distribute 300 trees to households, where we encourage them to say, when we grew up, each household had that tree. The old ladies will just boil it and you drink it as cough mixture. So we are actually saying, do not be having anxiety with the sickness. Go and use alternative medicine, which is our traditional medicine. So that has been the drive to go back to communities and restore those values that we learned from our grandparents and our grandfathers. And my dad has always been the driver, because growing up, he used to take us to the local school where he was a principal to go and do food gardens. And that seed was planted. And I mean, it's a passion that I followed. As an accountant, I said, let me go back and plow back in my community. So the drive has been amazing. And I'm really excited that we actually getting young ladies to go back and do the same thing in their communities. So the first group that we have, it's going to actually come back and be mentors for the next groups. So that has been the plan, to say we'll get them coming in 2021. 2022, they come back and mentor others and go back to the communities and teach in schools, in daycare centers how to grow your own food and eat from your own food and promote nutritional value in the food that we're growing. So I'm really excited to be part of people that are taking the challenge to say, let's address the challenges that we are facing of hunger, of food shortage, and actually taking back to having nutritional value. And this drive has actually been going on for a long time in our nation. And I'm really excited that as a summit, let's take it to other nations and share as women. And we've just finished Women's Month, and we were saying to the women, go and start projects that will bring food back to the table. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Sibongile. That is something like, it's an amazing story. This is something which anyone can do in their own homes all over the world, right? Thank you so much for joining us today in the summit and sharing your journey. And happy Women's Month to you, though it is over. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you to you, my sister, and have a blessed one.
Thank you.
Thank you.